Hello, this is Javan with the Crossworks Media Podcast. We're coming again with another episode. Clayton will not be here today. He's on vacation again. So we have a special guest, my brother, Brandon Kuzisto. And so let's get started.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
I'm doing good, Brandon. How are you?
I'm talking to them that are listening.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay, so today we're going to be kind of chatting about maybe Brandon's life. You know, let's just tell us about yourself, Brandon.
All right, my name is Brandon. Went to high school. Almost joined the Marines.
Boy, I bet you're glad you didn't.
Glad I didn't. Ended up joining the Army. Was going to go reserves. I went up to MEPS and changed it to active duty. I was a medic and the Airborne.
Wait, you were going to go reserves?
Yeah.
I never knew this.
As a diesel mechanic.
Oh, boy.
And I went up to MEPS in Maine, and the guy looked at me, and he was like, we're supposed to be convincing you to stay reserves or guard because they're short. But he was basically like, you don't want to do that. Nothing wrong with those.
Right.
But maybe he saw some adventure in my eye or something.
Do you ever feel like you wish you would have went reserves rather than active duty?
No.
Why is that?
Because.
So let's go back in time to where your first time ever being in any sort of military thing at all, which would be we were in the U.S. Naval Sea Cadets. Me and Brandon we served faithfully for 1 year.
This is true.
And if you
best
guys,
than the brightest.
Yeah. If you guys don't know what the Sea Cadets are, it's kind of like Boy Scouts.
It's like Boy Scouts dressed in blue.
Yeah, and it's. I mean, it was cool, I guess. Like so what you'd do is, it was once a month for Saturday and Sunday. You'd go to, it was at a school, and you'd go to like drill, they called it. You had uniforms, and you'd go and you'd do all the stupid stuff, and like the drill. I shouldn't say stupid, but you'd do like in the morning. You'd get there and you'd stand before the flag. What is it called?
I don't even remember.
It's all Navy stuff. And then we just would march a lot, and we would do a whole bunch of fun stuff like that. So, but anyways, that was our first time, or not me, but Brandon's first time was the U.S. Naval Sea Cadet Corps. At the time, did you think you'd ever join the Army?
I think so. Probably not the Navy. Just didn't want to get stuck on a ship. I was probably thinking Marines. I don't know how old you were. I didn't drive there until later. So I still had another 2 years. I think I was thinking about it. Then I would have been in automotive probably at the time. That's when I started thinking about diesel mechanic because I thought I wanted to be a diesel mechanic. So that was pretty cool. I guess we learned how to march, clear rooms. I don't know, just super random stuff. I don't say it really set me up for the basic training and all that. That was probably just hard work at home. If you can work hard, then you can survive basic training. It's pretty. I want to say I don't know. Some people might put more value behind passing basic training than me, or our culture, but it wasn't too bad. The hardest part of basic training or anything like that is just having to work with people you don't really get along with normally.
Is there like a lot of idiots in the Army? Like
a lot of 18-year-olds, yeah.
Like example, like so I go to work, right, and you just see all sorts of, I work construction, and there's just a lot of like dumb people around, like at work, and you would think that the military and even the police to some extent would be, the best and brightest of the American people, but I feel like there's a lot of people will tote that, oh, I'm in the military, like there's some like a cut above the average citizen and maybe intelligence or something. Would you say that's true? Or is there a lot of dumb people in the Army?
Well, I wouldn't say there's a lot. I mean, that's if you're joining, then you must have some amount of merit.
Right.
If you took, the same person, one half of them went and one other half didn't, I'd probably take the person that went and survived all the training. But I don't know. I guess our definition of dumb or immature or whatever, it could be changed a lot.
True.
But But yeah, there's definitely some characters.
Yeah.
Now there's definitely people that get all the way through the training and they make a dumb decision, like doing drugs or flip out. Yeah, they leak through the cracks, but I'd say most people, it depends on your unit and your MOS, your job. I was a medic, so you had to have a pretty high score on the tests. So most people there, 90%, should have been there. There was a few characters that, maybe they weren't the best and brightest.
Right.
Common sense, but they were super intelligent, or the other way around. They were super, whatever. I don't know. There's all sorts of characters.
So, like, obviously, basic training, you're in with pretty much anyone, right? Anyone who joined up around the same time.
Yeah, so infantry, though, they go to Fort Jackson, I think. No, Fort Benning. Well,
Yeah.
infantry go to Fort Benning. Their basic training is, quote-unquote, harder, more difficult, longer, whatever you mean harder is. And then I went to Fort Sill, I believe. Yeah. And there's one other one. But so everybody, if you're not infantry, you go to one of those two, or the other two, not Fort Benning, but the other two bases. I'm pretty sure it's Fort Benning. So Fort Sill and the other one. But it's called soft core MOSs, so the ones that are more support. So basically,
like non-combat.
Yeah, well, that's what they say, but some of those people still see combat.
Like a combat medic.
Or, healthcare specialist. Well, then some of them end up in hospitals. You never know.
Yeah.
But they're like in military police, they still can go see combat and forward observer. I don't know if forward observers are infantry. I don't remember if there's any forward observers or anything like that. Or a radio. No, radio's more of like a sub job. I don't know.
So you went to basic training, then you went to medical school, or what do you call it in the military, in the Army?
Well, that was just 68 Whiskey training at Fort Sill. There's a lot of different medical jobs. There's 68 Sierras and 68 Charlies. I don't know. There's tons of different things. Dentists, everything you can think of. So basic training was, I don't remember how many, 9 weeks maybe?
Yeah, sounds about right. Something
It's
like
like
that.
summer to fall. And then I went to Fort Sam Houston. Yeah, because I was at Fort Sam Houston for Christmas. So I left in July for the start of everything. I think it was done in like September, November.
Yeah.
Went over to Fort Sam Houston. I was there for Christmas break. And then I was there till about March or April. Then I went to Airborne training at Fort Benning.
Was Fort Sam Houston, was that the longest you were at?
Yeah, 16 weeks.
16 weeks, and then you went to Airborne school, which is what, 3 weeks?
2 or 3.
2 or 3, yeah.
2 or 3 weeks of running.
Yeah.
A couple days of jumping out of airplanes.
Yeah, because me and Mom came and watched you graduate.
Yep. And you guys might have seen me jump. I'm not sure, but I know you guys were there when you did see people jump.
Yeah, we didn't pick you out, but we pulled up to that field and we watched you all land.
Because I walked up,
run.
didn't I? You guys were all there, right?
Yeah. There was I think we watched you twice maybe or something.
Yeah, it's hard you can't tell who's who when you're
Yeah, they're
there.
all helmets and
just balloons floating down.
Yeah. So then, after you graduated all your training, then you went what?
To Fort Bragg.
And then
82nd Airborne.
And you had a lot of fun there, hey?
It was pretty fun.
Well, how hard was Airborne school?
Just running.
But physically?
I mean, if you're coming out of any other training, most recruits easily. I mean, there's a PT test, but you have to practice. I mean, there's a 2 mile. I think the only reason why I was probably almost going to be one of my fastest 2 miles, but I don't know, I had shin splints really bad. I still just did it and finished it. And then I remember doing the push-ups, and for some reason, it was so hard to do push-ups. I don't know why. Because I did them fine right before we left. But for the other PT tests. But there's other people there that were in units and then got an airborne assignment and then had to go.
Yeah.
So there was all sorts of ranks, and there was other there was the Marines there and
Yeah.
different Air Force maybe. So we had like a Marine guy in our thing who ran our little bay. But it wasn't very difficult. It was just a lot of running.
So if someone who actually wanted to be a paratrooper in the 82nd, they joined up, went through basic training, and they had a moderate physical ability or athleticism, they should be doing it fine. They should be able to get through fine.
So actually, speaking of that though, so I got Airborne in my orders from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So even if I was pretty scrawny, I was probably like 130 pounds. I was coming out of track and cross country.
Yeah.
I was super underweight. I could run fine. So I looked like some scrawny. I probably was through my entire Army career. Pretty scrawny. So you have this, quote unquote combat medic who's just some scrawny 18-year-old, 19-year-old. But that's, they get it right in a lot of the movies. Just kids out there. But so there was other people in basic training who were way more fit, way more active, and they didn't have it in their orders.
Yeah.
And so there's a chance, and they had like I remember they had something at the end of, right near the end of basic training, that if you did so well, you could get picked to go airborne or something. Like they had like 3 open spots or something like that.
Yeah.
But most of us that went from right out of basic training had it in our orders to begin with.
Yeah.
And almost all of us ended up in the 82nd or in Germany.
Yeah.
Or wherever the other base is, 173rd. Yeah, so I went way back to MEPS when I was up there, and he's like, hey, you want to check out active duty side? He asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, wow, medic would sound pretty cool. And he was like, anything else before I make the phone call? And I was like, well, Airborne or Rangers. I did my research, and I know that if you want to do it, you have to have in your orders.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be dreaming and praying that you make it in later.
Yeah.
So I asked for Airborne or Rangers because there was some people that had Ranger orders.
Yeah.
Which you're going Airborne anyways. And he couldn't get me Rangers. He made a phone call, but he got me Airborne, and I was happy with that.
Yeah.
So it worked out pretty well.
So I'm going to go back to boot camp. You went into boot camp, was it 2016, 17, around there?
2015.
15, yeah, because it was right before the election. So
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you were like Hillary or Trump. But either way, yeah, you're like, no one knew what to expect with either of them or who was going to win. So, but either way, modern boot camp or basic training gets a pretty bad rap for being, soft core, easy going. Was that for you? Like, how was your drill sergeants? Were they pretty tough on you?
So yeah, we heard like coming in before we went over there. They called it across the tracks or something like that. But that week had like these stress cards that you could pull out if you're getting stressed.
Yeah,
you need to go. We didn't have those. So
right.
That was just a load of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they have them somewhere else, and I'm not saying Fort Sill is some bravado.
Yeah.
Hard, tough thing. That really wasn't, but. I can assure you there was no stress cards or safe spaces or, there was moments that like we'd have like a little more personal class with our instructor or drill instructor.
Yeah.
Like we'd talk about certain stuff and it's just us in a classroom, but that wasn't like a safe space. No one was crying and stuff.
Right.
But speaking of like tough wise, cause I know a lot of the infantry guys will just kind of dump on our basic training and say that softcore MOS is so easy.
Yeah.
It was easy. They're not wrong, but in my defense, in my personal experience, I'm pretty sure all of our drill instructors were infantry.
Yeah.
And were deployed. We had a Ranger drill instructor. We had female engagement team. She was our main drill instructor. Multiple, Big Red one. All these other guys. 82nd Airborne with a mustard stain.
Yeah.
That means you had a combat jump. I think it was
really?
the last combat jump into Panama or something like that.
Wow.
I don't know.
That's
But yeah,
cool.
he was also the guy that he didn't wear a gas mask in the gas chamber the entire time.
And he was breathing fine.
I don't know. I remember he would literally just walk around without a gas mask in there. I mean, inside he was probably just holding his breath. I don't know. So I won't say it was easy, but they definitely they made it more exciting. I couldn't imagine if it was just a bunch of, like intel guys,
right?
Going at it like, come on, like I think there was a few, we call them fuzzies or whatever. They don't have their deployment patches.
Yeah.
Then again, nothing wrong with that because deployments are pretty rare nowadays. But most of them were deployed, seen action, or probably had a lot of PTSD. So they made it interesting. They made it tough.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think like Business Insider does these videos of like, what do you go through during Army basic training or Naval basic training? And I wonder, and they kind of make it. I shouldn't say they make it look soft, but I wonder if the news crews are there filming, the drill instructors take it a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying? To maybe try to get recruitment goals or recruitment numbers up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos, and I just know when there's stuff, people are going to act as professional as possible, regardless.
Yeah.
You know, there might be some stuff that happens that, you know, whatever. I mean, but another thing to think about is they more like get into your head, so you almost think it's worse than what's really happening. I don't know.
Right.
Like we've low crawled across fields, and we did I'm up, they see me, I'm down, you know.
Yeah.
And ate our food in 3 minutes, and I'm not saying, you know, that was so difficult. No, it wasn't. You just did it.
Yeah.
You know, we had like our 12-mile ruck and this and that, and people just survived. But like they're not. I mean, maybe in the infantry they're there just to make you miserable.
Right.
But those guys do have to be a little more, I guess, tough.
Yeah.
But the thing to think about is like, you know, one day we were throwing grenades. Next day we were doing a wall rappel. Then we're going to the gas chamber once, and then maybe it was twice. I don't know. Then we're at the range to qualify. So it's like every day there's like a whole curriculum. It's not just make your life miserable. And I know the Marines have the Hell Week, and that is just a week to make you miserable.
Yeah.
So we didn't have anything like that. Well, we definitely had our fair share of, you know, push-ups and this and that, and
Yeah.
a bunch of kids were having a massive pillow fight, and the drill sergeant on staff duty or whatever it was, just had us stand out on the drill pad for like a couple hours because he'd just come out and be like, "Who did it?" And it was like,
anything.
well, he had us all bring down our pillow because the pillow blew up.
Oh.
I mean, most of us were sleeping. I think there's just a few little rowdy kids. But he just walked in. There's just pillow. There's feathers down there. And I remember like that was like getting to people, and like the rest of us were just like, whatever. We're just gonna where else do we have to go? You know?
Right.
In reality, like we're just gonna, even if we stayed out here till the morning, we'd just go to PT and eat breakfast. Like yeah, we'd be so tired. But it's not like the next day is just push-ups all day, or
Yeah.
or you know, yeah, maybe we had like an obstacle course, or we had some certain class, or I don't even remember. The days kind of just went by. But so just summary real quick. I don't think basic train, like I think most people go in the expectation that it's gonna be really hard, and it's not. Like it's not meant to be super difficult, but it definitely sifts out a lot of the people. Not a lot, but people. There was people that couldn't do 13 push-ups, and they weren't.
Yeah.
They become a holdover, and you get stuck in this vicious cycle of just staying there forever.
Yeah.
So definitely, like, you want to get there fit at least. And if you're doing like the proper thing where you meet your recruiter, I think I was going to the recruiting station like once a week to do some PT.
Yeah.
Runs, push-ups, sit-ups, just to get ready.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like 3 PT tests, and you have to pass like the last one or 2 of them or something like that. But overall, yeah.
So then, okay, let's go back. So you graduate Airborne school. You're stationed in Fort Bragg.
Yeah. Well, first you get to your base, and you go to everywhere you go to in-processing first, usually, which is like getting all your information, make sure all your paperwork's good, getting this, getting that, you know, and it's all your medical, all your dental, SGLI, all that stuff. So that was like for a week or 2 at the Soldier Support Center, and that was pretty miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't have a car. I didn't have a smartphone back then. I had an iPod, and I listened to The Walking Drum. I think it's 24 or 48. I think it's a 24-hour book.
Yeah.
That's what I did for fun. I didn't have any of my friends.
Yeah.
And then finally, one of my buddies got a car at like a 13% interest rate.
Wow.
I know, but he was so sick of it, and he didn't have family clothes.
Yeah.
Like, what else you got to do? So he just bought a little Nissan Sentra. Then we started bombing around Vietnam, so it made it a little better.
Yeah. So like, when you get stationed, that's not deployed, obviously. That's just stationed.
No.
What do you do? So what did you do?
All right, so after in processing, you go to your unit, and depending on your unit, it could vary. So our unit, we were into the 82nd, so it's mostly all infantry battalions.
Yeah.
So there's three brigades. So 82nd, and they have 3 brigades. And then, I think I'm getting this right. Yeah, the Falcons, the Devils, and the Panthers. And then each brigade has like maybe, let's see, like 7 or 8 companies, I'm pretty sure. So depending, no, not companies. I don't know, I'm getting all mixed up. But depending where you go, I was an infantry unit. So I was HHC company in the, I'm pretty sure it's a battalion. I don't know. It's been a long time. But anyways, so what do I do?
Yeah, like what when you're in Fort Bragg, you're in the 82nd
so
Airborne.
Like a typical day in the 82nd Airborne infantry unit. It could be artillery, it could be whatever, support or something. So you wake up, you go to, I don't even know what it's called. It's been so long. But yeah, you salute the colors or whatever, and you start PT. Then you go to breakfast. PT's like, is it 6:30 to 7 or 6:30 to 8 or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then breakfast come in at 9. And then depending what you do, so infantry guys would probably be doing weapons maintenance. And so you have to look at it like a whole year schedule. We were on a training cycle.
Yeah.
So, and then each brigade is on a cycle itself too. So you have one brigade that's on call basically. This is only pertaining to the 82nd, maybe a few other runs out there, bigger units. So one unit was on call, one was on like rest, and one was training. And so when I got there, we were training. We were in like the training phase, we'll call it. So we were going to Fort Sill, and we were prepping to go to Fort Polk.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Louisiana. So basically, I got there, and like a few weeks later, we were out camping in the woods, doing training, doing lanes, everyone's running around their guns. And as medics, as an evac thing, we're setting up our little tent behind the main line, and we're pushing the objectives, and we're out there for a week. And then a couple of weeks later, you're out there again, and you could be jumping in, you could be doing whatever. And as medics, we were always pulling coverage. So anytime there was any sort of major ruck march or jump, medics had to be there. So that's what we were always doing. And then also another one of our responsibilities was keeping everyone medically ready. So everyone's getting their vaccines. We're checking on the guys, making sure, the boo-boos and scratches are fine. They're drinking their water. So yeah, it's just basically you're always prepping and training. You're on call, and then you're always just prepping and training. Yeah. And then you're resting, so you kind of have some off time. You're inventorying. It can keep you busy, and there's some days you do nothing. There's other days you're there till 11 o'clock at night.
So then you got deployed to Iraq. So how did that happen? Like, how did you know, or when did they tell you that you were going to Iraq?
So when I first got there, they were like, our unit never deploys.
That's what they said?
Yeah. That's like the rumors floating around.
Yeah. That
particular 2nd Brigade never deployed. We never were going to deploy. Everything like that. Yeah. So that was like that was the talk around among the guys. Yeah. My platoon sergeant, we got there, and he's like, we're deploying. Yeah. So you're just like, well, all the guys are saying we're not. So we were training. I don't remember the exact timeline. I remember we went to Fort Polk, which is down in Louisiana. I'm pretty sure I might be just mixing everything up. But so we did like a major, after our whole training cycle, running our lanes, we went and fought them, which is Geronimo. Whatever, like long time, like a month down there. Came back, and I think it was like that next summer of 2016. So it went pretty fast. Yeah. No, so that'd be 16. So it would be 17, I believe.
Yeah, because you came. I have a picture pulled up here. This is September 20th, 2017, when we saw you come back from Iraq.
September.
So, and you were in Iraq for what, 3 months? 4 months?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So, Yeah, so I got out of basic training. Went to basic training 2015 in like September. Got
Yeah.
to my unit. Got to Fort Bragg in like April 2016. We went to Louisiana that summer. Everything happened, and then we were deploying. That in January.
Yeah.
It went by fast. So then there was the whole deployment phase and just checking everything, getting everyone ready, and then they were like, everyone's going, but we only need half the medics, which is super weird.
Yeah. You'd
So-
think you'd want all of them.
So it was like January comes around, all the boys leave, and there's half of HHC over. It's basically just medics, a few of us kicking around, like
Yeah.
20 of us. All the other people that were hurt or didn't want to go or however got their way out of it. So that was January, and that was super weird. The base, like our side of it was like super empty.
Mm-hmm.
Still had to do a PT and everything. It was just a joke.
Yeah.
Super dumb because you're like, I wish I could be over there. And then word got that our lieutenant was like, he's gonna try to like switch us out, get us over there, because they're actually getting some pretty awesome training over there,
Yeah.
and just to help us out. So the more senior of us, because we were only privates at the time, but we had more guys come in when they were over there.
Yep.
I think a couple, I don't know. Some of us went over with the new sergeant major that came in. So I went, so it was January. I think they left in January. Maybe it was March or something. But I left in July, maybe.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I see January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Yeah. Something like June or July or May or something.
Yeah.
I went over. Actually, I have a picture of my phone, but so yeah, that's how we got over to Iraq.
So, like, what was the 82nd Airborne doing in Iraq? Were they just on a base? Or...
Yeah, so our little mission thing, if we had little hats, I guess, if we had little hats that were made,
Yeah.
was Operation was it Inherent Resolve or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Operation Inherent Resolve. And I don't have any pictures of my phone at all. The dates. We're basically there as a command and assist mission, so we're not there to fight. This is when ISIS was taking over Mosul and everything. So we were a couple miles probably back. Well, once I finally kind of got to my place, we flew in to Kuwait, and you kind of in process, quote unquote, over there. Make sure you have all your... And before this, it's a long process just to even ship out because you're doing all your paperwork, you're getting all your deployment gear, you're getting your weapon ready to ship overseas, and And I remember flying out, Terrell was there. We're leaving. So we get to Kuwait, and it's 120 degrees, and you're just doing whatever, and then you move up to the next place, which I don't know, it's just some fob or something like that, a little closer to the action. I think we just flew in there on C-130 maybe, and then we helicoptered up to this town called Badoosh. No, I actually didn't do that. Yeah, maybe we did. No, we drove up to Badoosh from this other forward operating base.
Yeah.
And that's where we did some, there wasn't really much going on. We were kind of close to the front line-ish, not really.
Uh-huh.
But we were kind of like an artillery outpost. And our PA and all the medics were there, and we did some more training because he wanted to make sure we were ready to see some stuff. Because we weren't fighting anybody, a lot of the infantry guys, they were kind of doing little patrols and stuff. And they were trying to rotate us through this forward medical little space. Just, I think it was 2 or 3 miles south of Mosul.
Yeah.
So it kind of acted as an overflow. So the Iraqi Special Forces and ISIS were battling it out. There was these brave volunteers and the Iraqi medics would ship them, put them in ambulances and ship them down to the hospital. Once that overflowed, they'd ship the bad ones to us.
Yeah.
The ones that could probably survive, because there's no point of taking people that are dead
Yeah.
at our place, especially on a U.S. base or a FOB or whatever. That's about... So I got there, and I was probably there for a month. It was called, I don't know if I probably shouldn't say the name, but yeah, it was a couple. If I see a map, I can point to where I was because we had a little map. So I saw probably over 300 people, 300 casualties. I just tell people ranging from they hit their head on a door. Some guy hit his head on a door and came in.
Yeah.
To dead.
Right.
Or to like, they're basically dead. Like they're just, I don't even know why they brought him there. He was wrapped up in rags and gray.
Yeah, and these are all Iraqis, right? Yeah, so.
Yeah, so since America, like we weren't fighting ISIS, the whole typical can't fire until fired upon, they would not fire on us.
Yeah.
Because they know that they just wipe them out. And I'm sure there might have been small little spats, but I never seen any American soldiers come in there. That's where they would have been.
Right.
So the only different thing that ever happened was these reporters got hit. They hit an ID.
IED?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So IED, they set it off or something. So they came in, and that was pretty traumatic because it was just so different from, Iraqi. They're speaking a different language. It's almost unreal. Like, it almost doesn't feel real.
Right.
When you can't even understand what they're saying, and you're just helping them out, whatever. But when you come in, yelling in English and stuff, the language that you understand, saying they have kids, and it makes it a little more real.
Yeah. Yeah, some pretty tough stuff to deal with. So you were just essentially helping out in like a hospital or something when you could?
It was just, nope. It was a little base it was kind of like a joint base between the Iraqi Special Forces and a bunch of U.S. conglomerates and other international conglomerates or units. But it was just these 4 tents. It was kind of like an ER little room where they first would come in and do an assessment. There was an overflow room with storage. Tents weren't very big. Probably fit like 8 cots. So 4 and 4. I just hit that thing.
That's okay.
So 4 on each side with some stuff in the back. And overflow with like a couple with a bunch of storage. And then the surgery room, which was a one thing surgery unit, all sterile.
Yeah.
And then the last one was a lot of the Iraqi medics or nurses slept in. There's like a few of them.
Yeah.
And it was kind of right outside of where like the main entrance would be. So we had like our own little entrance blast area, and so it was interesting. But we were pretty safe. I mean, I was never really fearing for my life there.
Yeah.
We were surrounded by these massive, I think they're called HESCO barriers.
Yeah.
I think there's Navy SEALs there. A bunch of other special forces and other units in and out, and we were a couple miles south.
Yeah.
And they were getting pushed north into, I believe, Syria and stuff.
So you were only there for a month or two, right?
There, yeah, at that particular place.
Yeah, and so you were one of the people that didn't get deployed right away, right?
Yeah.
So you said that half the medics stayed or something? Or
you
were the half that stayed?
Yep.
Because I remember when you got deployed, and then when you're coming back, like, wow, that's soon. But that's because your unit had already...
Yeah, they've already been over there for 6 months or 5 months before we even got there, which a lot of people said we had the dream deployment.
Right.
Because we came, we saw, we conquered. We went over there, did our job, hung out a little while, and went home. A lot of those guys that were there for the whole 9 months, towards the end, they were just so sick of it. Like obviously, 9 months, that's a long time. And even back in the day, a year, 2 years, like that can get pretty brutal.
And they're not even really doing anything, right? They're just patrolling.
That's probably made it worse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, some of them were pushing into the cities, and they were doing, but it hits the point where it's like, you're 8 months in.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's the point of being here?
Yeah.
And there is a broader sense of why you're there. But yeah, and so after that particular place, I went over to the base in Erbil, where I was part of the quick reaction force as their medic.
Yep.
And that's when I kind of took over another medic's place, and he taught me and trained me a lot there because we had kind of a lot of time in between our little training cycles.
So the QRF, is that part of the 82nd Airborne, aren't they? The QRF.
We're kind of like the, I guess you could call it that. I forgot what the real unit, the real name for it. But essentially, yeah, the 82nd itself is like America's Guard of Honor. It's the unit that can get deployed in 18 hours or 36 hours. So that's what I mean, like when we're on training rotations and then you're on call.
Yeah.
So like when Hurricane Katrina hit, like they got called up, they whirled up and went over there.
Yeah.
So we were not on call. We weren't like emergency called up.
Yeah.
Because we'd always trained to jump into combat in like 36 hours or 18 or 24 hours or something like that. But when our deployment was a little more scheduled, even though it kind of still came out of the blue.
Yeah. And you were just a QRF on that base?
Yeah, or it's just, it's a little base we were the QRF for the whole region.
And that's the quick reaction force in case something happens.
So basically you're in the movies and they're in a big firefight and they're calling for backup. We were the backup. We had the ammo, we had food, we had water. I had 2 medic bags and me.
And an M4.
And one M4. No. We had 2 Chinooks with 2 M-Razors, or side-by-sides.
Yeah.
One was kitted out medically wise for me, and it was towing a trailer full of food and water. The other one is kitted out radio, stat wise, whatever, with grenades and ammo. So
these are literally Polaris side-by-sides that are upgraded for the military.
Diesel. I'm pretty sure they're JP8, ran off diesel.
Yep.
Pretty heavy duty because they're pulling a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd back them right on the Chinooks. No, we didn't back the trailers on. We just chuck as much stuff as we could into them, I'm pretty sure, because the trailer wouldn't fit.
And they're like the Jeep, the Willys, back in World War II.
Yeah.
Just open top.
Essentially. Yeah. Open top. Took many rides on those, doing our little training things. Yeah, because we'd get like fake calls.
Yeah.
Middle of the night. And talk about stress, You don't know if we'd be flying, and then they'd just turn around. We wouldn't know.
You'd be on the Chinook.
They wouldn't say if it was, nope, you'd be sprinting, struck all your stuff on, middle of the night, you're racking around. Well, not right then, but you clip
So
it.
what do they say to you? Like, are you sleeping? And then they're like, all right, time to go.
Basically, so this is how it kind of worked. This is how it kind of worked. Is we had the talk, which was like this little tent kind of in the middle. There was a bunch of other people there. There's tons of different units and stuff. And private contractors. But we had this little center command building with all these TVs and radios and stuff. And basically it would come up over there. Someone would come in and be like, hey, we gotta go. And then that person, one of the times I was the runner, which sucked.
Yep.
I was there because not only I have to go get all my medical stuff. It was ready, but I had to get it all on and make sure we're ready to roll, which we were, but you still want to do some triple checks. But one time I kind of get the call, and I had to run. Like you had to run into the DFAC because the DFAC was open late. People could go eat cereal at 2 a.m. if they wanted to.
Yep.
So check the whole DFAC, and it was pretty big. It was like 4 tents. So I'm sprint over there, and I have to sprint and wake up pretty sure it was the Seaburn guys. Go wake up the pilots, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. You basically had to go wake up everybody. It sucked as the runner. And by the time you get back to your guys, they're already geared up because the other guy ran right there.
Yeah.
And so I'm the medic, like crap. Like just chucking all my stuff on, make sure I have all my stuff. And I'm kind of getting yelled at, bitched at because, it just sucked. It was just the amount of stress. It just blows. And then you run over to the flight line and they're turning the birds off. And you're like, oh, for what? Or the opposite, you all load up. You're saying your, goodbye prayers and you're clipping in and they take off. And you're just like, it's all night. And
yep.
Middle of the night, Chinooks, everyone's got their night vision ready to roll. Then your heart's bounding out of your chest.
Yep.
You can hear people going, and that's how you know. But then they just do a little Yui.
Yep.
So I've never went on a real call. We almost did, and you can take what I'm about to say, whatever. But supposedly, I think this one thing called a shadow or something, a big drone. I think it's handheld.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 3 feet. I think it went. I'm pretty sure it was something like that. It went down, and it was a suspected minefield, and they wanted to send us to go get it. Maybe someone who was just so bored wanted to go. I'm like, it wasn't my call, but I'm just telling everybody like, we're all gonna die if we walk across the minefield.
Right.
Like I'll just sit in the back. And would have single filed us to go get the shadow, But they ended up sending their unit like, with some dogs or a drone or something.
Yeah.
And I don't even think it was a minefield. But then super weird thing happened. So we were a few days out, and if you ever watched Hurt Locker, basically the whole movie is like ticking down till they leave, till like Bravo's rotation's done.
Yeah.
And that was literally us. We were Bravo, and I think the 101st or somebody, 101st or 10th Mountain was coming to take over our spot. So basically, like this rotation was just always filled by some unit. We didn't have to be Airborne. We didn't have to be anybody.
Yeah.
So 10th Mountain was taking over us in like a couple, like 5 days. So we had like 5 days left. And then I got orders to go home. And our other medic left. So we have this whole infantry platoon with no medic. Because I'm like, my platoon sergeant's like, you can't leave. I'm like, I don't want to. But
right.
Here's my orders. Like, you can't fight against that. I went and talked to these higher ups, and they were pissed too. But I had to leave, so I packed all my stuff up. Hasta la vista, here's my aid bag. I let one of the guys there was an EMT. There was there's people that are medically proficient. And I had an extra aid bag, and I just left it with them. I had tons of stuff, and I was like, well, you guys all been trained in CLS, so good luck. It's super weird. So I leave, super long story, process, kind of sucked going home. The next night, they get a real call. They whirled up. I missed it. And they went. Someone was calling for backup. And they all went out there. And as the story goes, I believe some special forces got into a big firefight. And I think they were just calling for backup just to, why not? You can use it. So they got there and the fighting was done. But they all just went, like, just in case there was a counterattack or something. As the story goes. Who knows if any of this is true, but so they all like fan out, whatever, make their big security circle, and they kind of just held it down. I don't think anything happened after that, but they woke up and there was some dead bodies around them of the enemy. So so a big fight did happen, and they were just on the cusp of it. So that was super weird.
Who gives you orders? Like, you say you got your orders, but from who?
I don't even know. It was weird.
Is it, like, from way up top?
It's way up top.
Is it like, hey, we need, or what I would think is maybe some colonel or some general's like, hey, we need medics, and he just tells his underlings, hey, get the medics from here, and they just pull you.
I'm thinking what happened was, I'll call them, like, the group that was with us that went late.
Yep.
I don't think we were really, not that people didn't want us to be there, but I think that's kind of how it was. Like, we were there off of a really good, convincing talk from somebody.
Right.
Like, that's the only reason why we were there.
Okay.
I didn't have to be there. There was still a medic, like, that I took over. Like, he could have just stayed.
Yeah.
But someone schmoozed somebody else and got, like, thank you for whoever did the schmooze. I'm pretty sure it was our lieutenant.
To try and get you guys.
If you're listening to this,
yeah.
Thank you very much, sir. Because he got us in, so when they're exfilling, I'm pretty sure it's called, when they're getting us out, they're like, get these guys out of here. But I'm pretty sure, I don't remember positively, but I'm pretty sure at that time, like, the other medic had already left too.
Yeah.
But it was only a few days. The likelihood of needing the quick reaction force bare minimum, and they would have been fine. They had a lot of guys. Me and the other medic, him especially, trained him really well. He's with them for years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so orders came. Like, I got someone from my command told me, and like once you get the official paper, you're going.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And it was the same paper that I got from MEPS, same paper that I got, like, you're going to the 82nd Airborne, here you go.
Yeah.
So who knows? Way up there pulling the strings. But yeah. And then it was the long process home. I got super lucky again. Kind of unlucky at first. I got put on baggage detail. If anyone knows what that is, it sucks. So in Kuwait, we had a whole airplane, a commercial airplane. I'm pretty sure it was 353.
Yeah.
So however many people that is, a massive airplane. And I think there was about 20 of us that had to move all the bags.
For
And
everyone?
For everybody. Manually. Physically. Just to make the process go faster.
Yeah.
Because we had to send everyone through customs. So they all had to go through the buzzer. And they all had to send their bags through to check for other sketch stuff. War trophies and whatnot. And extra grenades that people had forgotten, literally. Yeah. They found grenades, but it wasn't anything, mischievous. It's just really tired, and now people are coming through. So it's super weird because I ended up running back into my platoon when I was on baggage detail with my platoon going through. So they were the platoon I was with, so they were only like 5 days later.
Yeah.
So however it happened, I don't know why, but I was out there a few earlier days than them. But then, so all these people go through customs. We're helping move their bags through all the buzzers. And then they're like, hey, the truck's not here to bring them to the airport. Throw them in that Connex. We filled an entire Connex and a half.
Some bags.
Yeah. Most people had like 3 big green duffel bags. Yeah. Some people had more. Wow. Especially like commanders or had these big black totes that are just so heavy. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was like a Connex and a half or a full Connex or something like that or half a Connex. I don't remember. And then literally like for chucking the last few bags, guess what pulls up? The truck.
And you have to load the truck up.
Load the truck up. And it's like 120. We're dying.
And this is in Kuwait?
Yeah, Kuwait. Yeah. Going home. And then we like kind of go to the airport, and then we had to unload them. And then they're waiting for the airplane. I'm pretty sure we unload them, or maybe they just stayed in the truck. I don't know. Maybe we put them on these baggage things. I don't remember. It was such a haze. But I remember sitting on this bus because we had like a couple hours to wait for the airplane. And just the baggage details, chilling on this bus. I don't know where everybody else was. And I fell asleep. And there was a kid sitting like close in the window seat. So I'm in the aisle seat. And I fell asleep just sitting there. Uh-huh. And I woke up and I was surrounded by officers. Big wigs. Yeah. And I was like, what is... No one woke... I didn't know anybody there personally. Like, I just met these cronies. No one woke me up. They just left me. And I'm like in a panic. I'm like, get me out of here. Right. So I'm like looking and I'm like, hey, you guys know where the baggage detail is? And they're like, oh, they're right there by the airplane. Yeah, it's a pretty good run away. So I just boogied out there. And they're loading the last few bags on. So I just zip into there. And some person was like, oh, there you are. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, yeah, you can wake me up. I was like, crap my pants. Yeah. There's like no like, the typical, whatever it's called, making sure everyone's there. Yeah. Accountability. Yeah. It's just random detail. Like kind of just like, oh, you. Yeah. Like you, front row, go. And then I snuck in there, and the general or whoever's there, he was like, all right, you guys did a lot of hard work. And he was like, you guys all go sit in first class. And I was like, I died. I'm like, I missed that by the skin of my teeth. And like I felt kind of bad at first because I'm like I kind of cheesed, but yeah, I literally missed like they had a conveyor belt. So yeah, there was like 20 people loading a couple bags at a time. Yeah, I earned that thing, and I loved every minute of that first class. It was a long flight, and I sat first class.
Was it Kuwait straight to America and to?
I think it was Kuwait to Germany. Yeah. To. Right to Fort Bragg from there.
And
right?
then you're landing on Air Force bases, right? Like you're not going to.
It was commercial. It was like these little dinky things. Yeah. When we flew out, it was at a commercial airport. Yeah. But this plane landed right. Yeah, you were there. Yep. Landed right on the flight line. Yeah. But yeah, first class all the way there. Baggage claim sucked, but that was awesome. Cause I think we were flying back with the only reason why that happened is it was like the colonel or the major of the 82nd, so with the top big wig. So he looked out for the boys, because I asked everybody else that flew back. They did baggage detail and they didn't get it. They just got crammed in with everybody else. Yeah. And all the big wigs sat up front. Yeah. So all those big wigs that I was on the bus with ended up sitting behind me.
That's hilarious.
I remember doing like one little peek through the curtain back there, and they looked so miserable. I mean, I did it on the way there. Yeah. And I just enjoyed it sucks either way, but feeling it laid completely down is awesome.
So then you fly back to United States, and then you're just chilling in Fort Bragg doing busy work till you get out. Hey.
No, actually no. So we actually got back. We were like on a rest cycle for a little while. And then the training cycle just started again.
Yeah.
Started going out like a couple days, a week.
And then you got married.
A couple weeks. Yeah, so I got married pretty soon after that.
That December.
So I got married that December. And then we started our training cycle again. Then I jumped a bunch of times.
And you had 2 years left. So that was halfway through. Your deployment was...
I had a year and a half left.
Yeah. After you got married, yeah.
Yep. So I had 1 year to that Christmas and then to that July.
Yeah.
So I went to... After I got back, I went to Louisiana again. I think that spring.
Yep.
Yeah, that spring. And then we did a bunch of other training. And then I went to New Jersey in like January, February for winter training. Because that's when... Was that another election? Maybe? I don't know. 2018.
Yeah, that was
the
whatever it's called, midterm elections.
Yeah, so everyone thought we were going to Russia, so they went to New Jersey and slept in the snow and trained out there. And then I got hurt on my last few jumps.
Yeah.
I was just like, I have like 3 left, just don't get hurt. And it wasn't bad, but...
Like rolled ankles?
Smashed my ankle, got my arm pulled. Oh, it just sucked. I was so sick of it at that point.
Yeah.
Get me out of here.
Yeah, I remember you were getting pretty sick of the Army.
Yeah, I was getting pretty miserable. It wasn't terrible. Obviously, you look back with rose-colored glasses. But yeah, then it was just coasting out. But yeah.
So I guess with all that being said, did you enjoy being in the Army, like all in all?
I mean, I don't regret going. And if I had to go back in time, I'd probably just do exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Maybe the better attitude. Yeah, I think I enjoyed it.
So you liked getting deployed. That was exciting, right?
Yeah. Everyone, if you want to get deployed,
right?
Everyone, if you join the Army, you want to get deployed. There's some people that don't. Obviously, everyone wants to be in a firefight. Then everyone that's been in a firefight says they never wanted to be in one.
Yeah.
The whole paradox, but. Like I said, dream deployment. Went there, did my medic job, came home.
Seen the cool
None of my
stuff.
buddies died, so.
Got the T-shirt and went home.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, let's say you were 18 years old right now. You're just got out of school, you graduated, whatever. Would you join the military in today's day and age?
Yeah, probably.
Would you recommend people joining the military?
I don't know.
Like if you have somebody who's on the fence, who's like, really
yeah, go do it.
Like hemming and hawing, you tell them to do it.
Yeah. And 4 years goes by fast. You only have to do 4 years. The biggest thing is, so the reason why I went, I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was doing in my life. That it basically gave me some stall time.
Yeah. And
with an experience.
Yeah.
And that's what my recruiter was, a medic, and he was like, dude. He never told me if it was gonna be blast or it was gonna be horrible. He just. And my answer would be the same thing. Like, there's going to be days you're going to be like, why did I ever join?
Yeah.
But then you're going to look at it and be like, it's just like the whole thing about standing on the drill pad. It's like, okay, I don't get any sleep. Then what? Okay, I wake up and eat breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. The next day is going to come and go. The next day is going to come and go.
Yeah, and it's not like it pushed your life off. You still got married halfway through it. You had a child, right?
Yeah, you have... 4-day weekends are great. And any unit other than the 82nd, maybe some other high-speed ones, is going to be even more chill.
Yeah.
More chill than that. And that was even, I went everywhere. We went weekends down places,
Yeah, and you got to go to Iraq, which I'll never do.
Yeah, a lot of people in the Army never get to experience that. And I wouldn't promise if you joined the 82nd you'd go, because up until that point it was pretty dry.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys, when I got there, that's 4 years of them just doing training cycles.
Yep.
That can make you go miserable.
Definitely.
Especially the infantry,
Yep.
And so I wouldn't join thinking you're going to go, but I also wouldn't be surprised if you do.
I think they might have got deployed to Poland or something. Because I guess NATO is moving a bunch of troops in NATO countries to try to just prevent Russia from invading. And I really don't think Russia's going to invade NATO.
I wouldn't really call that they are deployed, but you're probably not getting you might get a combat patch, but...
Yeah. It's not like active firefights going on.
Well, I guess neither were we, but there were still casualties.
Right, but you ain't gonna go in your local,
You're not gonna go
pub
to
down in Baghdad.
the Polish. No. Yeah, exactly.
Like you can go into what's the Krakow, Poland. You can go to a pub there and be fine.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
ain't gonna happen in Baghdad. But yeah, anyways, this has been one of our longest episodes yet at 56 minutes here. So we'll see how people like it. If you guys like it and you guys want him back on, maybe we'll scam him back on. But thank you very much for listening, and thanks for coming on, Brandon. And well, we'll catch you later, guys.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.